The more you spend, the healthier you get. Or at least that's what they're selling, right? Do you have to be rich to be fit? And with the fancy gyms, expensive diets, and imported superfoods, it sure seems that way. But here's the truth. Health isn't about your wallet. It's about your willpower. The truth is, today we're going to break some myths about how to stay fit without blowing the bank. And by the end of this video, you'll learn how to stay fit without spending a fortune. So let's start. Health versus hype. Do you ever feel like social media is making you stay healthy and competitive against other people because you want to post that video? And do you ever see someone with a high-end equipment package that they're working out on, and someone just spent 500 rupees on an avocado toast, and you're like, that could be me, and that's how I can be skinny? While these habits can actually be good for your health, the question remains, are they the only way to go? The myth of luxury fitness is you don't need to spend $50K for a gym membership. In fact, research shows that consistent activity matters more than where or how you do it. If done right, home workouts, outdoor exercises can help in maintaining better consistency, which would, in the long term, help you with your fitness. So let's talk about your diets. There's so many fads out there. When everyone wants to lose weight for a wedding, they go on some diet plan with some dietitian. But the truth is, it's not about diets and health, it's about life. Your body can't tell the difference between a 15 rupee boiled egg and a 300 rupee protein bar. And the truth is, if you're consistent about the nutrients and the macros and the micros, and you engineer it once for yourself and stay on it, you will lose weight and you will maintain what you have. That brings us to the next thing. Make it a habit. Consistency beats luxury every single time. You know, the number of gym visits that happen in January every year after an amazing holiday season are incredible. The gym memberships go up, but you know what? Most of those, by February, no one goes. They pay for the whole year or they pay for month by month, but no one goes. What's better is if you figure out how to do something regularly where you build it into your mantra for life. I always say that if you are consistent and you have an hour of power and invest in yourself every day, this should be part of it, 30 minutes to an hour. I've also talked about this in other videos, exercise at any age, but there's also a Fit India movement which should be expanded to include all of us. So before you blindly follow the expensive fitness trends on social media, ask yourself, am I doing this just to fit in? Are these health trends turning out to be extremely unhealthy for my wallet? If the answer was yes, you might want to rethink your goals. At the end of it, it's about intrinsic happiness, not extrinsic. It's not how you look, you're all beautiful. So now let's talk about specific. The first is fitness on a budget. Why limit yourself to the walls of a gym when you have a whole world out there as your workout space? Essentially, the world is your oyster. Now that you've busted the myth that you have to be in an expensive gym to do it, how can you actually do that? Let's talk about no-cost fitness hacks. You can build strength using your own body weight. And in fact, Bruce Lee was famous for this in that he would use isometric exercises to actually build his strength. And he would use one muscle group against another to do this. And if you've ever watched his workouts, it's quite amazing. But even without that, you can do bodyweight exercises like push-ups, squats, planks that can be highly effective in strength training. Next is outdoor fitness. Do you need a treadmill? Well, listen, there's plenty of treadmills all around you. You can walk, you can jog, you can cycle, you can do yoga in public spaces, which can be equally fulfilling without ever going to the gym. Moreover, there's these fitness groups and support groups where you can create a very highly positive social interaction and go running. So then that brings us to the next thing. What about affordable nutrition? Are there things you can do in your environment which help you do that? The key is this, that you have to dial in your food that you're eating into your needs. And the biggest thing that I talk about is that if you have a sedentary lifestyle where you're not burning a lot of calories, figure that out early on and don't go making some crazy stuff. Secondly, you don't need all the superfoods in the world when you have your local sabji and other foods which will work. So we've already talked about how to crack the fitness equation and make it affordable. Now let's talk about food a little bit more. There's one key in India in that we have seasonal fruit and vegetables. And sticking to that gives you a much better feeling of the community you're building. Maybe kale is too expensive, but maybe you have other types of things which can be substituted. And while each of these have their nutrient differences, you could always have palak, which is readily available and has a lot of iron in it. If you remember Popeye the Sailor Man, something in the West, which we looked at that, he would always pump up his cans of spinach to get his strength up. But there's a reason for that. It's full of iron and full of nutrients. And so while kale is the hot, neat thing from abroad, spinach is equally interesting. Baby spinach as a salad is delicious, and it can be eaten anytime, or you can make palak paneer or something like that. Next, skip the fancy protein bars and opt for roasted chana or peanuts. They're much cheaper, and if you mix them with different things, they can be interesting. You can also use yogurt with fruit, and it's equally nutritious and will provide you with a modicum of protein as well as pectin and fiber. In many cases, the government even subsidizes some of the local produce over foreign things, and so it makes it affordable for everyone. So in short, if you can get seasonal fruit and vegetables and kind of look at their macros and micros, you can really build in a very, very beautiful palette, a color palette as well as a food palette. All right, let's talk about the next thing, the magic of everyday food. Simple ingredients like rice, legumes, sprouts have a protein packed. And I would say less so for rice, which is mostly carbs, but legumes and sprouts have a lot of protein. Now, what are legumes? They would be rajma, they would be dal, they would be things like this, which we normally eat in our food. Everyday meals take this all into account and are full of essential nutrients and can easily fulfill the nutritional requirements. I would say with the exception of B12, you're getting almost everything you need. And then with the protein, because you're eating these legumes and protein sources, you are getting what you need to maintain your balance. However, there are certain remote locations where even the simplest ingredients are hard to get. And maybe there, mobile food delivery and other things and markets can supplement that. So you need to take that into account when you're ordering. Next, with your nutrition is hydration. I talk about the 5 pillars, which are diet, exercise, water, sleep, and mindfulness. Water is a critical part, and let's not forget the ultimate health hack, drinking enough water in a day. You know, 70% of your body is water. And the idea is that if you're dehydrated, you're just adding another stressor to your body's already complicated homeostatic system, which maintains the balance. Remember, healthy eating isn't about splurging on exotic fruits and vegetables. It's about making smart choices every day. Look around you, figure out what the macros and micros are. The secret to your affordable nutrition may be already sitting in your kitchen. Health is a long-term investment. Spend on what you will keep for a lifetime and not just for a few months. Think of it like this. Would you rather blow your money on flashy fitness gadgets that gather dust or invest in habits that will keep you thriving into your 80s? Remember what I said about the gyms in January. They do great, but by February, most of them are empty. What you're trying to do is create a sustainable lifestyle. And ultimately, it's not about health, it's about life. Lastly, there's a few things you may need in your repertoire, which are affordable and long-term investments. The first is that you can invest in a decent pair of shoes. A good pair of running shoes will save you from a lot of issues in the city, at least, if you can afford it. Remember that much of what you do for your health is all about prevention, early recognition, and early treatment. 90% of the people would be in much better shape had they just invested in themselves early on. And what I'm talking about is not in the big expensive things. So it's all about prevention versus cure. As they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? And the idea is that if you were to invest in exercise and a balanced diet and those 5 pillars we talked about, over 50% of people would be saved from many of the lifestyle type diseases. Part of that is the education. We should start early and often, and we should start in schools in educating kids to know what is their code and what's healthy for them and what isn't, because oftentimes we don't do that. The last thing is mindfulness and mental health. We, as a society, don't prioritize that, but the idea is that we have to prioritize mental health and mindfulness and make sure that each one of us are aware of what our issues are. So in conclusion, does health have to be expensive? In fact, it just takes two things: improve awareness, improve access to world-class evidence-based international standards. It's not about your wallet, it's about your brain, and it's about your body, and it's about your soul, and it's about bringing everyone around you up. Remember, health is a mindset, not a luxury. It's for everyone, and we need to democratize it accordingly. The secret to good health isn't in your wallet, it's in your choices. And with smart choices, simple habits, and a little creativity, you can achieve the fitness goals without burning a hole in your pocket. What's your go-to budget-friendly health tip? Share them with us in the comments below. And like always, share this with all your friends, because it's critical that all of us kind of think about these things before they become issues. I always say to people that do something for yourself before someone forces you to do it. And you know what? The kinds of things we've outlined today, where we're trying to show you that staying healthy is not something you need to spend a gajillion dollars or a gajillion rupees for, but it's something where you just need to focus on yourself a little bit. I can tell you in this time and date, a lot of people aren't doing that. Just remember, if you've ever flown in a plane, the first thing the air hostesses say is if the oxygen masks come down, put them on yourself first before you put them on anyone else in your row. Because if you can't save yourself, how are you going to save everyone else in your family? I hope you've enjoyed what we've talked about. I would love to hear the comments that you have for me in the comments below. And as always, we've put the links, the evidence-based links, in the description. Remember to like, subscribe, and share so that this goes to a wider audience. And thank you for joining us.